Hello everyone, welcome to the video lecture of this course Finite Element Method. So this is the fifth module that we are going to start in this lecture, and the name of the module it is isoparametric element for two-dimensional problems. In the earlier lectures we have discussed the one-dimensional problems, then two-dimensional problems for scalar and vector elements, and there we have seen that how to calculate the stress strain relationship matrix, then the Jacobian matrix, then the shape function. So regarding all this different terminology, there are different formula, and based on all those formula we have discussed and we have solved different numericals in the earlier lectures. Now today in this isoparametric formulation we will discuss first the natural coordinates, and there we will see different formula, and based on those different formula we will try to solve different numericals. Okay, so let us start this lecture. These are the course objective and course outcome for this course, finite element method. This is the actual COPO mapping. So we will start from this slide, this isoparametric elements for two-dimensional problem. So four different diagrams you can see here, figure 5.1, 5.2, 5.3 and 5.4. What are these actually? So first we will start with the concept of the isoparametric elements. What we know that the finite element method, it is a powerful technique for analyzing engineering problems which involves complex and irregular geometries. But the two and three dimensional elements like the triangle, rectangle, brick, etc., these were discussed in the earlier lectures or earlier modules. But these two and three dimensional elements, this cannot be used efficiently for irregular geometries. This, this is actually a disadvantage for these two and three dimensional elements, because as they cannot be used efficiently for irregular geometries. Now let us consider this diagram 5.1. This is actually a continuum which is provided, and it is discretized by using the triangular elements, which we can see in 5.1b diagram, where it is written that the continuum is discretized by triangular elements. So what we can observe from this 5.1b, you can see that it is difficult to represent the curved boundaries by straight edges elements of the triangular elements. A large number of elements may be used to obtain reasonable resemblance between the original body and the assemblage. But in order to overcome such type of drawback, isoparametric elements are used. So what is the concept of this isoparametric elements? That is the problems involving the curved boundaries. In that case, a family of elements known as the isoparametric elements can be used. So this is the concept of this isoparametric element. In case of the complex geometrics or irregular geometrics where the curved boundaries are there, in that case using of the two and three dimensional elements like the triangle, rectangle, these are not efficient. So in such cases, to overcome that drawback, isoparametric elements involving the curved boundaries, these are used. Now this isoparametric, this concept, it was first brought out by Teig, the name of that scientist, and it was later generalized by B.M. Irons. for mapping the curved boundaries. These two scientists, they first brought this concept, and they also brought out the concept of mapping for regular, triangular, then rectangular elements and brick elements for natural coordinate system to global Cartesian system. So that concept we can see in this diagram 5.2, 5.3 and 5.4, where you can see in case of figure 5.2 the concept of mapping in isoparametric element. Considering the triangular element, we can see that the parent element, it is a regular triangular element, but the mapped element, how the sides have been formed, these are like a carved side of the triangular element. In the similar manner, in case of a rectangular element in figure 5.3, we can see the parent rectangular element, which is the regular rectangular element, and in case of the mapped rectangular element, which is quadrilateral element, and the sides, these are actually a curve. In the similar manner, in case of figure 5.4, we can see that in case of the parent brick element and the mapped brick element. Now in this module in isoparametric element, the method of coordinate transformation from natural coordinate system to global coordinate system, then the shape function and stiffness matrix for four noded quadrilateral element, numerical integration, these different topics we will discuss, and different numericals based on the different formula we will try to solve. So let us start with the natural coordinates concept. Now this natural coordinate system, it is used to define any point inside the element by a set of dimensionless numbers whose magnitude never exceeds unity. And this natural coordinate system, it is very useful in assembling of stiffness matrices. So this is the concept of this natural coordinate system. It is used to define any point inside the element by a set of dimensionless numbers whose magnitude never exceeds unity. And this system is very useful in assembling of stiffness matrices. So there is a derivation now for natural coordinate in one dimension. In figure 5.5, you can see that a natural coordinate for a line element, it is given for node 1 and node 2. The coordinates are provided, and inside this line element one point P is considered, and for this point P its coordinates are also provided. Now from this diagram, let us consider a two-noded line element, and any point P inside this line element, it is identified by two natural coordinates L1 and L2 and the Cartesian coordinate x. Now node 1 and node 2 have the Cartesian coordinates x1 and x2 respectively. So from the diagram we can identify the natural coordinates and the Cartesian coordinates for the three different nodes or points. Now from our earlier concept, we know that total weightage of natural coordinate at any point is unity. So that is L1 plus L2, this is equals to 1. Now any point x within the element, it can be expressed as a linear combination of the nodal coordinates of nodes 1 and 2, and the mathematical representation is L1 x1 plus L2 x2 equals to x. So this is our equation number 5.2. Now if we arrange these two equations 5.1 and 5.2 in matrix form, Then we can write 2 by 2 matrix of 1 1 x1 x2 multiplied by a column matrix L1 L2. This is equals to a column matrix of 1x. So that means the column matrix of L1 L2, this is equals to the inverse of the 2 by 2 matrix multiplied by the column matrix of 1x. So this means what? This is equals to, if we perform the inverse, then we will get 1 by x2 minus x1 multiplied by x2 minus 1 minus x1 x, the 2 by 2 matrix multiplied by column matrix of 1x. So the inverse, how to perform the matrix inverse, that formula it is given here, and all of we are familiar with this matrix operation, so we can do this part, this matrix operation here. Next, if we rearrange this part further, with another matrix operation we can perform, and then ultimately after 2 or 3 steps we will get 1 by L multiplied by x2 minus x and x minus x1. So in place of x2 minus x1, it is actually the length of the element, so we have written this x2 minus x1 as L. So that means the column matrix of L1 L2, it is the natural coordinates, this is equals to a column matrix of x2 minus x by L and x minus x1 by L. So this is the formula that we need to remember. In case of this natural coordinate in one dimension, the formula for the natural coordinate matrix. Now this variation of L1 and L2, it is actually shown here in figure 5.7 and figure 5.8. L1 is 1 at node 1. In case of figure 5.7, we can see that the L1 it is 1 at node 1 and it is 0 at node 2. In case of figure 5.8, we can see that L2, that natural coordinate, it is 1 at node 2 but it is 0 at node 1. Now integration of polynomial terms in natural coordinates, it can be performed by using this formula which you can see here in equation 5.3, that integration over x1 to x2 L1 to the power alpha multiplied by L2 to the power beta dx, this is equals to the factorial alpha multiplied by factorial beta divided by the factorial of alpha plus beta plus 1 into Lx. So this formula, in case of this natural coordinates in one dimension, we need to remember, and using this formula we will solve different numericals in the next slides. Again, in case of the one-dimensional problem, another type of natural coordinate like epsilon it is also used. So let us discuss that concept also. In case of figure 5.9, you can see that we have considered a one-dimensional element. Now in the local number scheme, the first node will be number 1 and the second node is number 2. Now C is the center of nodes 1 and 2 and P is the point referred. Now as C is the center of the nodes 1 and 2, so in that case XC, this is x1 plus x2 by 2, and P is the referred point here. Its Cartesian coordinate, it is x. Now the natural coordinator epsilon for any point in the element, it is defined as epsilon, this is equals to PC divided by x2 minus x1 by 2. So this is the formula for the natural coordinator here in case of this one dimensional element. This natural coordinated epsilon, this is equals to PC divided by x2 minus x1 by 2. So as x2 minus x1, this is equals to L, so we can write that this natural coordinated epsilon, this is equals to PC by L by 2. That instead of x2 minus x1, we have put the value as L. So that means we are getting 2 by L multiplied by rows PC. So this is equals to 2 by L multiplied by x minus xc. Instead of xc, we can write x1 plus x2 by 2, because this xc, it is the middle point, the center of the nodes 1 and 2. So that's why xc, it was x1 plus x2 by 2, which we have seen in this figure 5.9. So instead of xc, we have put x1 plus x2 by 2. So this is equals to, we can write again, in case of it is 2 by L multiplied by x minus x2 minus x1 plus 2x1 divided by 2. So several rearrangement have been performed here, and after 2 or 3 different steps, we will get the natural coordinator epsilon is equals to 2 by L multiplied by x minus L by 2 plus x1. So that means epsilon L by 2 plus L by 2, this is equals to x minus x1. So finally we are getting the equation number 5.4, which is L by 2 into epsilon plus 1, this is equals to x minus x1. Now if we apply the boundary conditions here, at node 1 x equals to x1, which you can see in this diagram also at figure 5.9, that at node 1 of this one dimensional element, there x equals to x1, at node 2 x equals to x2. And if we put the value of x equals to x1, then from equation 5.4, we are getting L by 2 into 1 plus epsilon, this is equals to 0. So that means finally we are getting epsilon, this is equals to minus 1. So this is the result of natural coordinator we are getting when we are putting the boundary condition x equals to x1 at node 2, x equals to x1 at node 1 actually. Now in case of node 2, the x equals to x2. Now if we put this value in the equation 5.4, then we are getting the value of epsilon, that is natural coordinator, this is equals to 1. So this value of the natural coordinator at node 1 at node 2, it is now represented in the figure 5.10, where the variation of the natural coordinator epsilon we can see. First the one dimensional element, it is plotted, and in the second diagram in this 5.10, you can see that at node 1 the epsilon is minus 1, and at node 2 the value of the epsilon, it is plus 1. So this variation of the natural coordinate, it is represented here graphically. So these are the concept and the small derivation of the natural coordinator we have discussed in case of the natural coordinates in one dimension. Now what will be the formula or the concept of the natural coordinates in case of the two dimension? Now let us consider a triangular element which is having 3 nodes, which you can see in this diagram, figure 5.11. The triangular element you can see, and it is having three different nodes A, B and C, and their coordinates are given, and another point P, its coordinate is also provided. Now this P, it is the point inside the element, and it has three coordinates L1, L2 and L3. Now from the definition of the natural coordinates, we know that L1 plus L2 plus L3, this is equals to 1. Then L1x1 plus L2x2 plus L3x3, this is equals to x. And L1y1 plus L2y2 plus L3y3, this is equals to y. So these three equations we can write from the definition of the natural coordinates. And this part we have also implemented for the natural coordinates in one-dimensional derivations also. So these are the three different equations, 5.5, 5.6 and 5.7 we can write for the definition of the concept of the natural coordinates. Now if we assemble these equations in the matrix form, then we can write a 3 by 3 matrix 1 1 1 x1 x2 x3 and y1 y2 y3 multiplied by a column matrix L1 L2 L3. This is equals to a column matrix of 1 x and y. So that means the natural coordinates L1 L2 L3, its column matrix, this is equals to inverse of that 3 by 3 matrix multiplied by the column matrix of 1 x y. So this is equation number 5.8. Now let D is that column matrix here. So D inverse, it will be CT divided by the determinant of the D, which is equation number 5.9. So we need to first perform the inverse of that matrix. So for that we need to first calculate the coefficient of the matrix D. Here this matrix operation for the inverse we know, so it has been presented here step by step. So the coefficient of matrix is C11, then C12, then C13, C21, all these things and its different steps, these are written here. Like in case of C11, it will be the coefficient of this C11, it is actually a 2 by 2 matrix of x2 x3 y2 y3, which is ultimately x2 y3 minus x3 y2. In the similar manner, all these coefficients of the matrix D like C11, C12, C13, then C21, C22, C23 and C31, C32 and C33, all these coefficient, 9 different coefficients of the matrix D, it is calculated here. Now in case of equation 5.10, it is actually C transpose, which is given here, and the determinant of that matrix D, it is also calculated in equation number 5.11. So that means the D inverse, it is finally can be represented here. From equation number 5.9 we can write the value of the D inverse, which is C transpose divided by D, determinant of that D matrix. So that means if we finally put this value of this D inverse, then we will be getting this equation as 5.12. So this is the natural coordinates for the two-dimensional elements. This formula, okay, equation number 5.12. Now the area of the triangle ABC, it can be expressed as a function of the xy coordinates of the nodes 1, 2 and 3. Now, to calculate the area of the triangle, the formula that we will use, it is half multiplied by the 3 by 3 matrix of 1 x1 y1, 1 x2 y2 and 1 x3 y3. So this is actually, if we do the matrix operation, then it is half x2 y3 minus x3 y2 minus x1 y3 plus x1 y2 plus x3 y1 minus x2 y1. So this is actually that matrix operation that we have performed here. So this is actually the formula to calculate the area of the triangle. Now if we substitute this value of the area of the triangle in the earlier equation of the natural coordinate, then we are getting this formula here. Now the integration of the polynomial terms in natural coordinates for two-dimensional elements, it can be performed by using this formula, which is integration over the domain A, or L1 to the power alpha, L2 to the power beta, L3 to the power gamma dA. This is equals to factorial alpha, factorial beta, factorial gamma divided by factorial of alpha plus beta plus gamma plus 2 into twice A. So this is the equation number 5.14. So this formula also we need to remember to solve different numericals based on this concept of the natural coordinates for one dimension as well as two dimension. Now let us discuss one numerical, the procedure to solve such numericals based on the concept of the natural coordinates. The question which is given here, we need to determine the value of this integration over the domain A, L1, L2 square, L3 cube dA. Now the formula for to calculate this integration we have seen just now for this two-dimensional natural coordinate case. So if we write the formula here and then if we compare with the question that is given in this here in this problem, then we are getting that the value of alpha, this is 1, because alpha is the power of the L1, so that value of alpha is 1. Then the beta, it is the power of L2, which is given in this question, it is 2, and in the similar manner we can write the value of gamma, it is 3. So we have calculated, or we have identified the value of alpha, beta and gamma. Then we need to perform the factorial of this. So if we perform the factorial of factorial 2, 3 and factorial 8, and finally we are getting the required result as A divided by 1680. So what we have done, we have just implemented the formula for the natural coordinate in case of the two dimension. So let us discuss one more problem regarding this natural coordinate system. So the question which is given here, integration, we need to determine the value of integration 0 to 1 L1 cube dx. So here the formula that we will use, it is integration x1 to x2 L1 to the power alpha L2 to the power beta dx. So this is equals to factorial alpha factorial beta divided by factorial of alpha plus beta plus 1 multiplied by L. Now if we compare the given question with the formula, then we will get that the value of alpha, this is 3, and the value of beta, it is 0, because in this question there is no terms related to the L2. So that means we are getting the formula as factorial 3 multiplied by factorial 0 divided by factorial 4. Now if we perform all this factorial, then finally we are getting the value here is L by 4. So these are the process that we have applied here. So in this numerical we have actually discussed the natural coordinate system for one and two dimensional system, and in this lecture we have discussed the concept of the isoparametric element, how these are useful for the curved boundaries, then the different natural coordinator in case of the one-dimensional and two-dimensional system. And regarding this concept, we have discussed two different numericals based on the two dimension and one dimension in case of the natural coordinate system. So this is the end for this lecture, and in the next lecture we will discuss the isoparametric, superparametric and subparametric elements.